This podcast is not for the overly sensitive, the terminally optimistic, or anyone who thinks dating in your 50s is a whimsical romantic comedy. Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to Girls Can Tell. Here's your host, Trent Erickson. Tall, opinionated, slightly over it.
Okay, there's something I need to say out loud, because if I don't, it's going to sit in the back of my brain like a toothache. Dating apps didn't suddenly stop working because you got older. They stopped working because they were redesigned not to work. Because when Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, all of them, when they came out, they were full of normal people. People who had just gotten divorced, who were shy, lonely, who didn't know how to meet someone in a bar. People who wanted a relationship. You match, message, and met. And then you left the app. That was the whole point. The apps were supposed to be a tool, a bridge, a way to skip past the awkwardness of cold approaches and the randomness of hoping someone interesting might show up at the right place at the right time. They worked because everyone using them was there for the same reason, to meet someone and get off the app. The success metric was simple. Did you find someone? Good. Delete the app. You're done. But then something happened. The apps realized the worst possible truth, for us anyway. The most profitable users are the ones who never succeed. If you meet someone and fall in love, well, you leave. If you don't, you keep swiping, checking, hoping, and most importantly, you keep paying. So the product stopped being help you find someone and became keep you just hopeful enough to stay. And once that happened, the entire ecosystem changed. Because the app stopped optimizing for compatibility. They started optimizing for dopamine. For that little hit when someone matches you, for the spike when a new face pops up, for the rush when someone flirts with you, or for that ache when someone disappears. It became a slot machine. Swipe, 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 match, swipe, swipe, ghost, swipe, almost, swipe. And now we're all in it, waiting for something that never quite comes. The app figured out that sweet spot isn't helping you find love. It's keeping you in that state of perpetual almost. Almost matched, almost connected, almost met someone great. Because if you're almost there, you keep trying. You keep swiping, upgrading to premium, buying boosts. You keep paying for the illusion that the next swipe might be the one. And in the meantime, the algorithm isn't showing you the most compatible people. It's showing you the people most likely to keep you engaged. Just enough people who are attractive enough to make you hopeful enough, but unavailable enough to keep you searching. Did you ever wonder why half the people it shows you are way out of preferences that you set? It keeps you swiping. The people who actually want relationships, well, they don't last long on dating apps anymore. They either meet someone and leave, get burned out and leave, or get emotionally mangled and leave. Who stays? Well, the avoidant, the bored, emotionally unavailable, validation junkies, half-healed, the serial daters, the people who like attention more than connection. The pool gets more and more concentrated with people who can tolerate emotional chaos. And that's why every interaction feels insane now. It's not you. You're not suddenly unattractive or suddenly bad at dating. You didn't forget how to talk. You're just swimming in a tank whose fish are mostly weird. And not quirky, cute weird. Emotionally dysfunctional weird. That's why conversations stall and people disappear. That's why someone can text you nonstop for 3 days, then vanish for a week like you never existed. That's not normal human behavior. That's what happens when a system rewards people for not committing. Think about it. If you were someone who actually wants a relationship, you ask questions to get to know someone, follow through on plans, show up consistently, express interest clearly, move things forward. But if you do all that on a dating app in 2026, you often get one-word responses, flakiness, ghosting, people who suddenly aren't ready, people who are just looking for friends, people who are just seeing what's out there. So over time, the people who wanted something real either find it and leave or give up and leave. What's left is a pool of people who are comfortable with ambiguity, inconsistency, and emotionally unavailable. That's who you're matching with now. And the cruelest part is you start to blame yourself when you start thinking, maybe I said the wrong thing. Maybe I waited too long or asked too much. Maybe I wasn't interesting enough. Maybe I was too available. Maybe I wasn't available enough. Maybe I should have been flirtier. Maybe I came on too strong. No, You just matched with someone who had no intention of building anything. The apps train people to treat people like content. If someone doesn't immediately entertain them, they scroll. If someone gets emotionally real, they scroll. If someone feels complicated, well, they scroll. It's consumption and doesn't resemble dating anymore. You're not a person with a life, a history, complexity, and depth. You're a profile, a photo, a few lines of text. And if those few lines don't immediately grab someone's attention in 2.3 seconds they spend looking at your profile, they move on. There's no benefit of the doubt. No, let me give this person a chance. There's no, maybe they're more interesting than their profile suggests. Just next, next, and next. And then we wonder why it feels empty. This is why you can have 300 matches and feel completely alone. This is why people talk about options but never choose. And it's why everyone says they want a relationship but nobody acts like it. Because in a world of indefinite choices, choosing one person feels like a loss. So people hover, breadcrumb, keep you warm, but never land. They keep you in the rotation because closing the door on you means giving up an option. And giving up an option feels like losing, even if that option was someone they were never going to choose. Psychologists call this choice overload. When you have too many options, you become paralyzed. You can't commit to any one thing because you're constantly worried you're missing out on something better. And dating apps have weaponized this. Every match is a reminder that there are thousands more people out there. Every swipe says, maybe the next one will be better. Every conversation that requires effort says, why am I working this hard when I have 50 other matches? So people don't invest, they don't follow through, and they don't show up. Because why would they, when the next person is just a swipe away? And if you're someone who actually wants depth, consistency, emotional presence, now you feel like you're losing your mind. You start thinking, where are all the adults? Where are the emotionally available people? Where are the ones who don't vanish when things get real? And where are the ones who say what they mean and follow through? Where are the real people out there? And this is the part where people love to chime in with the smug advice, just go meet people in real life. Like that's still a functioning social option in 2026. It sounds good. It feels wholesome. It's the kind of thing people say because they want to believe we're still living in a world where strangers talk, connections happen organically, and you just bump into someone at a bookstore and fall in love over the last copy of some novel nobody actually reads. That world is mostly gone. Nobody approaches anyone anymore. It's not because everyone suddenly became shy, but because the social contract changed. Guys are terrified of being labeled creeps for saying hello. They're terrified of misreading a signal and becoming someone's TikTok story about the weird guy who approached me at Target. Even a normal, polite attempt to start a conversation can feel like walking through a minefield. So most men don't risk it. They see someone attractive, they look away, and they keep walking because the downside feels bigger than the upside. Meanwhile, women are walking around assuming nobody approaches anymore because people aren't interested. No, people are cautious. That's risk calculation. Then there's the bigger reality. Nobody talks to strangers anymore. Not casually, not comfortably. Everyone is sealed inside their own digital bubble. Earbuds in, eyes down, thumbs scrolling. The universal signal of modern society is, don't interrupt me. You could stand next to someone for 20 minutes and never exchange a single word. So the idea that you're just going to wander into public and strike up a charming conversation like it's 1994 is mostly fiction. It happens occasionally, but it's rare enough that it feels like an anomaly when it does. People say, join groups, go to meetups. In theory, that sounds great. In practice, most of those spaces are just ghost towns filled with the same rotating handful of people who treat it like their weekly obligation to prove they're putting themselves out there. You show up expecting a mix of personalities and energy. Instead, you get 3 guys that look like they forgot mirrors exist. It's awkward, forced, and transactional. That's not a knock on these people. They're trying, but let's stop pretending these environments are overflowing with an opportunity. Most of the time, they feel like social leftovers circling the same bowl. Even hobby spaces aren't immune. Gyms are headphones-on zones. Coffee shops are laptop bunkers. Volunteer events are structured around tasks, not conversation. Everyone's polite. Nobody lingers. Nobody risks stepping outside the invisible boundary of, don't make this weird. Dating apps turn people into profiles and transactions. Real life turned into a silent waiting room where everyone pretends connection is still easy, while actively signaling they don't want to be bothered. And that leaves you in a strange middle space. You're told the apps are broken. You're told real life is the answer. But real life has its own barriers now. Social fear, digital distraction, and a culture that's allergic to discomfort. So if you've tried both and felt like neither is working, that's modern dating stuck between two systems that forgot how humans actually connect. Which means the solution isn't pretending one side is perfect. It's recognizing that connection now takes intention, timing, and tolerance for awkwardness most people have trained themselves out of. And if that feels frustrating, you're not imagining it. You're trying to date in an era where everyone wants connection, but nobody wants the risk that comes with starting it. So if you're exhausted, if you feel disillusioned, if you feel like everybody you meet is half there, it's because you're in the wrong environment. You're trying to find a real relationship in a system designed to prevent one. And the thing is, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And once you see it, you stop taking it personally. You stop thinking you're broken. You start realizing you're just a human being in a machine that was never meant to love you back. I'm not saying delete all the apps tomorrow. I'm not saying there's no good left on them. I'm saying to stop expecting them to work the way they used to. Stop blaming yourself when they don't, and start putting your energy somewhere else. Meet people in real life. Join things, show up places, talk to strangers, ask friends to set you up. Go to events where people actually have to be present, not just swipe. Because the people who want what you want aren't spending hours on dating apps anymore. They left, and maybe it's time for you to leave too. Because you deserve better than a slot machine. You deserve a system that actually wants you to win. And dating apps stopped being that a long time ago.